Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Rick here with another video in Destiny 2, and today we are discussing PvP, the great Crucible, Gambit, the whole 9 yards, and probably upcoming trials for all we know with the way Season of Dawn is going. Now, first things first, I do want to go ahead and elaborate. I'm sure we all are aware, Lord of Wolves is back. The Lord is back. Of course, we all have the wonderful catalyst. I'm still working on it, but what this will do now is increases the reload speed while Release the Wolves has been activated. What that does basically is it takes the reload capability to damn near outlaw capabilities. So this thing is almost constantly spitting out bullets like a auto rifle would, melting enemies in PvP and things like that. But today I wanted to go ahead and give an update. I know some people over in my Discord and while playing Destiny the other night on stream, they were asking kind of what PvP loadouts I use, kind of what I focus on and things like that. Recently I did a video in regards to what weapons to kind of look at using for Season of Dawn with the new artifact and the new updates towards it, and the focus is more towards scout rifles and pulse rifles and things like that. So today, like I mentioned, I want to focus on the Crucible outlooks and loadouts and things like that, and focus more on the weapon side of things of what you're primarily using within Destiny 2, outside of your armor sets and everything else. But this is the main focus towards whether if you want to do Iron Banner, if you want to do Crucible, Gambit, you name it, it's going to be going on. Now, this has been the loadout I've been primarily using, whether it's in Crucible primarily. I've been using it in Gambit a little bit as well, but that would be with a spare rations. I'm still trying to roll and get a better one associated with that. But with my spare rations, I do have field prep, and I have Rampage as well with a Rampage spec. That way, of course, I have faster reload associated while I'm crouching if need be, while I'm sliding around, and Rampage for increased damage. And then Lord of Wolves, got to include that bad boy lately. It's like it's replaced Recluse. They got rid of Recluse and brought back the thing everyone hated for a long period of time. And then for my heavy, I have Hammerhead. Most of these loadouts I'm going to be utilizing pretty much either Hammerhead primarily, or Truth if necessary. You can kind of pick and choose if you want Xenophage for a few of them as well, since it's been buffed. It's pretty much one-shotting to the head or two-shotting to the body, which is pretty awesome. But the first loadout that I do focus with, for as far as weapons go, is spare rations, Lord of Wolves, and Hammerhead. And like I said, mostly because Lord of Wolves' new catalyst that I believe everyone should have by now or close to it if you're still trying to get it, with that increased reload and things like that once Release the Wolves has been activated. Now, another loadout I've been using, and this is kind of more, I found more focused in the PvE realm of things, and associated would be, like I mentioned, this is more PvE kind of setup with Gambit, so you have that sprinkle of Guardian attacks and things like that. But this is what I was using more with the Gambit side of things, utilizing either Night Watch, the Scout Rifle, since you have Anti-Barrier Ranger associated with that. I'm trying to get a better one right now, but unfortunately I have Moving Target and Outlaw, which still has done very well for me, with Night Watch. And then either Lord of Wolves has been one option, or including as Recluse. Recluse recently just got nerfed. They got rid of the Master of Arms setup and Feeding Frenzy, so it's kind of got reduced a little bit. It still melts. I don't care what people say. The thing still melts and does everything that it needs to do for a PvE or PvP weapon, and very enjoyable. But outside of those two, if I have, say, Night's Watch, if I have Recluse equipped through here, this would be one loadout that I would want to use Xenophage with, especially in the PvP portion or PvE portion, with when you're trying to take out the envoys and you're trying to take down the final big baddie, or even if you have a Guardian invading or you're invading yourself. If you have heavy and you're running in there with Xenophage, you can, it's pretty much a sniper rifle in heavy machine gun form. Especially with the buff, with the crits coming back as well. You mean you have rangefinder, which, you know, aiming increases the effective range and magnification and increased projectile velocity. So pretty good. and then composite stock, full bore, high caliber rounds. The thing is nasty. Look at that impact. Like I said, you are one-shotting to the head or two-shotting to the body now with Xenophage, which is pretty wonderful. And I've really enjoyed that piece. And then one of the other loadouts, this one I'd say probably one of the better loadouts that I've been seeing a lot lately, outside of running, like I said, Spare Rations and Lord of Wolves. One of the big ones that I've been seeing a lot lately is Thorn, which I feel like it's rearing its ugly head from like it did back in the day. That freaking burn has just wrecked people lately. But with Thorn, you do have Mark the Devourer, which of course pierce targets and deal damage over time. So once you're able to pick up the Soul Devourer, you get a kill, pick up the Soul Devourer, and the way the perk works, you hit the enemy. Of course, you all know you're constantly getting that damage over time. But with the impact and everything else that this provides, as far as with the range as well and the handling, pair it with the Recluse. You could even pair it with an Arc Logic, which mine has Outlaw and Triple Tap. And it feels like I'm using a submachine gun at this point, just with a little bit better range or reload speed in association. But Thorn paired with Recluse or an Arc Logic, constantly spitting out bullets with the burn and the impact that's taken down, this basically just finishes them off. If you're in a firefight and you get this 2 or 3 hits, or maybe just 2 hits and then quick changeover, melts them immediately. You've got that kill, you're moving on to the next bounty at that point. Very fun loadout to run. I've run this a few times with Hammerhead as well. Done very well. 20-30 stacks every now and then. Lord of Wolves, I hit a 40 stack, a 50 stack the other day. Very entertaining to run. But these are kind of the ones that you're probably seeing a lot more of. These are ones that you're seeing these weapons more often. Let me rephrase that. These are ones you're seeing rotated in throughout other builds and other PvP aspects. But when it comes to actually running the build itself, these weapons I feel like accommodate one another. I mean, with Spare Rations and Lord of Wolves, you have a little bit of you have a high impact associated with a little bit of range to kind of get a dogfight. But if Lord of Wolves, you're running through hallways, you're running around corners, and in that close range, it's over. It melts everything. It melts an invader. Whatever's going on, you're taken care of. And then with the Thorn, Recluse, or Arc Logic situation, same way. You have the high impact with the burn associated with the high rate of fire between both of these weapons that will melt anything down. Another Hammerhead, like I said, or something else. If you wish to use a grenade launcher, you can, or a rocket launcher. You choose whatever is more preferential to you. And then lastly, there is one that I did enjoy as well. Another situation that involves Xenophage that I was running briefly. I haven't had a lot of time to play with, but I had some fun with it at that point. Was running Exit Strategy, which is a pretty good submachine gun that comes through from Gambit. Running Oxygen. So you have a little bit of impact with the range and everything else associated, or you could run Soul Survivor. So one of those two, just for high hit. And even Outlast. So this was one, the energy slot, it was weird. I found myself using Exit Strategy more than I did anything else with this one, but you could swap that I was using Soul Survivor, Oxygen, or Outlast. These two probably better in Gambit in association. Outlast probably very good to run. I ran it with Crucible. It worked well. But say you ran Exit Strategy, Outlast. This Outlast really isn't a good role, but I do have Rampage, so I can run with it. But if you have Exit Strategy, Outlast, and then Xenophage, you're good. High damage, hot rapid fire frame, adaptive frame. You're spitting bullets between these two. They don't have a lot of impact associated with them, but it is high rate of fire and easy handling associated with them. And then this one, you have your drop mag, your rapid fire. It's a pulse rifle. It's a pulse rifle that feels almost like an automatic weapon, just because. And then your sniper rifle / heavy machine gun, which is pretty awesome to say the least. Now, you may be asking yourself, all right, so I'm going to run Lord of Wolves, I'm going to run Spare Rations, or I'm going to run one of the other mixtures that I had mentioned between Thorn and Recluse and stuff like that. What do you want to run with it? Well, normally, so armor-wise, I'll start over on the armor side. Pick whatever armor you want to run, whatever your build you're trying to run at this point. But as far as exotics go, for a Titan, with me being a Titan main, and this is, like I said, I'm a Titan boy. I love mashing the W or up button at this point, breaking knuckles. I eat crayons, whatever, you make fun of us. Titans are having a blast at this point. They weren't left in the dust like they were back in Destiny 1. They're actually utilized in raids more, and they're utilized in PvP to have a lot more fun with shoulder charge. And yes, they did nerf our one-eyed mask. I haven't really used it since the nerf, off and on, but I've actually found more optimizations at that way. Now, solar was the big focus. Top tree Sunbreaker has been fun. I've actually been running a lot of Hollowfire Heart. The reason why is because of the constant energy growth. You have your grenades that, you know, constantly come back. You have your shoulder charge that constantly comes back as well. Very quick to build up on your super and things like that. So it's a good pick to go with Hollowfire Heart if you're going to run solar, mostly because of that purpose of the higher energy. You can constantly use your grenades faster. You can use your shoulder charge ability faster in Crucible or Gambit. It helps out a ton with those. And with that, with Sunbreaker, I run normally a top tree just for the additional shoulder charge, and with the exploding hammers, which is pretty awesome. You could run middle tree now. They've actually buffed middle tree a ton. Much more fun to use and swing around like a massive Thor if you wanted to. You also gain the throwing hammer ability associated with that. Not overly fond of the throwing hammer. It still does a good amount of damage, but to be honest, I still prefer the top tree associated with it because you do get the hammer charge as well, and enjoy that along with, you know, fusion grenades, so you get that nice sticky burn to go with it. Now, if I'm going to run outside of, say, if I'm not going to run solar, say I want to run void, which is another one that I do actually like to run in Crucible or in Gambit for either bubble purposes or damage purpose at that point. If I'm going to run one of those two, normally I'm going to run either Doomfang Pauldron or Peregrine Greaves if you wished. But Doomfang Pauldron actually has been the best one associated with it. With Doomfang Pauldron, the big thing you get is that the Horns of Doom. That is the big association with this, is void melee kills give super energy. And while Sentinel Shield's active, melee kills recharge shield throw, which extends the super on hits. So basically, you pop your super, you start doing melee kills associated with this, or get the shield throw, you're able to do more of that. You're able to, you know, clear mobs. You're able to clear, you know, groups of other enemies that are coming around in Crucible. You're having a lot more fun with it. But Doomfang Pauldron is one that I found if I'm running Void, like I said, with Sentinel, top tree, just for both shield throw and for bubble purposes, you're able to have that and run through. Very good viability to run with this build, have shield, and do melee damage. Yeah, you're well-rounded at this point as this Titan, and having fun. Now, lastly, with Striker, I do go through Striker, and like I said, this is also depending on what exotics are used. Bottom tree is still good. I know they nerfed the duration of some of the knee abilities and everything else for melee, but I normally stick with the top tree because of the seismic strike and because of the shoulder charge and everything else that you do get to go along with it, which is very fun at that point. But if I'm running Striker, actually with Striker, I feel like it's funny. Striker was the leading for the longest time in Crucible. You don't see it nearly as much anymore because of the nerfs towards it. If you want to run Striker, Insurmountable Skull Fort is one because of its intrinsic perk of Transfusion Matrix, kills with the arc melee abilities, trigger health regeneration, and restore melee energy. So you're healing yourself as you're running around, you know, beating people senseless. Outside of that, you could run Syntheseps, which is actually one that I end up running a good bit of. Reason why is because with biotic enhancements, it increases your melee lunge. So if you're sprinting at an enemy or anything, you're wanting to get that extra little damage in there, it increases your lunge almost by double is what it appears. It also improves your melee and super damage when surrounded. So you're surrounded by 2 or 3 people, you're doing quick punches, everything else. And then you bust your super, the exact same thing. It's going to help you run through there. But my main favorite that I've actually been coming across lately has actually been Dune Marchers. The reason why with Dune Marchers is, overall you're faster. So as a Titan, we are a little bit slower than our fancy little hunter counterparts and our floaty warlocks with their, you know, supernova in their palm. But with Dune Marchers, it increases our speed. And also with your shoulder charge, it gives you chain melee damage. So this not only could be used with Striker, which is the main one I do use it with because you can get projectiles with these two. This helps close the distance a little bit faster by having Dune Marchers. But basically you're increasing, like I said, increased speed and then building up a static charge after meleeing an enemy. That chain reacts. So not only does it hit the one enemy, it can hit surrounding enemies in a Crucible match, doing more damage at that point, and also making you faster to get around the battlefield, closing in on targets, getting around corners for, you know, escape from pushing too far or anything like that. You do have that capability of going through. But I would say if you're going to be running Striker or anything else, Dune Marchers, or, you know, Syntheseps or Skull Fort, kind of toss up whatever you're going to be more preferred. I do normally go through either Syntheseps or Dune Marchers. I like the extra mobility associated with Dune Marchers that you do get, and the chain lightning or chain damage from melee purposes just by running around. But mixing this with the loadout of Hammerhead, Spare Rations, and Lord of Wolves, you having some fun. Same thing if you, like I said, you're throwing shields or throwing hammers. You're having a good time either way, and just enjoying yourself and kind of running with it from there, basically. But yeah, that about does it today. I know it's kind of quick, kind of spitting things out a little bit, but I wanted to get this out there, especially with a couple of new events coming up and people seeing a lot going on with Lord of Wolves and everything else. So maybe diving a little bit further into it for people that are looking for what they could possibly use, because a lot of these are very well had. A bunch of different people, you know, a lot of people do have these weapons. They're easily obtainable as well. Just depends on what kind of role you want to get for certain weapons too, so you can kind of go from there. But these are ones I'm having a blast with. I'm still playing around with a few things with the artifact. I have not maxed it out yet. I'm sure there's probably something I'm missing, especially here in this last row with, you know, void batteries or things like that, or solar plexus where, you know, more melee abilities or void abilities increasing with a cooldown and an overshield. So I'm going to be playing around a little bit more with those. I may do a video later on what artifacts to try and use in both PvE and PvP going forward. I just got to get to that point. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time due to family and travel and work. So just trying, you know, I'm part-time gamer and a full-time dad trying to get out there doing this, but having fun while we're doing it. But that does it for today's video. If you don't mind, please hit that like button or subscribe for future videos such as these, generally in regards to Destiny, Final Fantasy, Overwatch. You know, we play all sorts of different games, and I generally try and give some sort of guides or builds to try and help people out that are either newcomers or, you know, the casuals that are out there, nothing super hardcore, but these will kind of hopefully help you give, you know, the next step or some edge to try and increase, you know, your playing style and things like that. But also let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are there some items I missed, some weapons I missed, some different combinations that I missed that probably are a better situation for what Spare Rations and Lord of Wolves could load with, or even, like I said, Thorn or Recluse, those kind of things. Or what your loadouts generally are. Like, what do you prefer to see when you play Crucible or you play Gambit? I'd be interested in see, especially to try out. But of course, I am a Titan boy, so honest to God, don't have any other classes. Been rolling Titan since day one on Destiny 1, so it is what it is on that piece. But anyways, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy today's video. I appreciate you all watching today as well. But once again, my name is Rick. I will see you next time. Thank you very much and have a good day.